yes, we have a horse, but the horse is injured. B didn't know that the horse was injured, so B says, oh, where is he? Because he's usually running around at this time. Where is he? And A will say, he is resting, as a way of saying he is getting some rest. He is resting. And then let's place the 다리 because his leg got hurt. Okay, so let's first touch on the different speech, the different way of speaking, the different way of sentiment when it comes to saying something like his leg got hurt. Now in Korean, when you're talking about physical injuries, you do not say, I hurt my finger, I hurt my neck, I hurt my ankle. Because if you do so, it sounds like you, on purpose, actively hurt your finger because you hate your finger or something like that. Okay, so instead we're going to use a verb that is automatically passive, right? Which means get hurt at the same time. So you cannot say, I hurt my ankle. You have to say, my ankle got hurt. Okay, so we're going to use a verb that means get hurt. And therefore, now the leg is the subject, and we have the verb. And of course, we're talking about his. We're talking about the horse. Okay, so of course, I'm starting with the pink sentence because, yes, because is a reverse bridge. Now, also, a bridge is never a standalone, right? Never an independent component. It has to become a part of the word right in front of it as its ending. So we're going to have the subject leg, and we're going to have the verb because got hurt. Okay, so, of course, let's first place the subject leg, 다리. 다리, leg, and then got hurt. So the display form of the verb get hurt, 다치다. Okay, so I don't want the 다 ending, so I want the because ending. So let's use the 서 version of because, and therefore that means we have to go to inflection route number 1, right? So let's go to inflection route number 1. Okay, so yes, the 서 version, we're going to use the 서 version for now as because, and yes, we have a situation where a display form ends with the E vowel once 다 is removed. Yes, and the rules are, exactly, within inflection route number 1, that is, if you have a display form that ends with the E vowel, you apply a 3-step formula. You remove 다, of course, change E into 여, and then attach the ending. So altogether, now we have 다쳐서. Okay, so now we have because get hurt. Now, we're going to place this in the 문장. However, now if I do place it in the 문장, that might lead to a fundamental question. However, we did talk about it a couple of times, right? But I'll explain it again. Now that fundamental question can be, someone can say, hey, didn't we leave out something? Is this really enough? Didn't we skip over something? Yeah, technically, we did. Because, exactly, some of you can say, hey, isn't it that we have to give the verb get hurt 2 endings? We first have to give it the past tense ending and then attach the because ending. That's what we usually do, right? We usually attach the tense ending first and then the bridge ending. So why aren't we doing it with get hurt? It's got hurt. Okay, yes, because now this version of because the 서 version of because is a little bit unique, right? Now, first of all, let's fundamentally talk about what because does. Because is a bridge that indicates causal relationship, right? Effect and cause. Cause and effect. In other words, reason and result. So because, just like so, they are bridges that indicate causal relationship. So cause and effect, reason, result. Well, then let's think about it. Now, he is already resting, getting some rest. So, if the result is already happening, then of course, logically speaking, the reason happened first, in the past. If this is already happening, then of course, logically speaking, the reason took place in the past. There is no way around it. Okay, so anything that is too obvious being omitted to context does not only apply to, for example, subjects or objects, right? It can sometimes apply to tense as well. So that's why if the result is already here, then of course, logically speaking, it has nothing to do with the language of Korean. It has nothing to do with the trait of Korean. It's just logic. So logically speaking, if the result is already happening, then the reason it means that it already, of course, happened in the past. So the reason taking place in the past is too obvious. Therefore, that's why when you're using this version of because, if you have past tense in the first sentence, the last sentence in English, but the first sentence in Korean, you do not have to indicate the past tense. Okay, so that's why we're not going to give it two endings, the past tense ending and then the because ending. We should skip over the past tense ending and then just immediately go to because. So that's why we're going to say 다리 다쳐서. For example, if I'm going to say I am bruised because I was punched. Let's say I'm a professional boxer. So if I say I am bruised because I was punched, now if I already have the bruise, which is the result, of course it means that me being punched already happened in the past. The past tense is too obvious. I cannot say I am bruised because I will be punched. That doesn't logically make any sense, right? So that's why I'm saying the past tense is too obvious. Does that make sense? I can't say I already got the bruise because I'm going to be punched anyway. I just conjured up this bruise magically out of thin air. Okay. So that's why no past tense. And then let's move on to the blue sentence. No he, of course, we're talking about the horse. And then no is, am, was, were, are. And then, yes, verb resting. So, of course, yes, the display form of the verb rest is 쉬다, but of course I don't want its display form. I don't want the ta ending. This time, let's give it ing as a way of indicating present participle. That something is ongoing right now. So 쉬고 있어요. 쉬고 있어요. So the ing ending, when you're using it as present participle, is a no route ending, right? And the beauty of no route endings is that all you have to do is remove ta and then immediately attach it. So how beautiful is that? However, unfortunately, most no route endings belong to poetic Korean. So let's enjoy when we can, because we don't get many no route endings in real Korean. Okay, so let's not take it for granted. So resting as a way of saying getting some rest. So now we have the full 문장. I'll read it 천천히. 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. He is resting because his leg got hurt. Okay, does that make sense? If it does, 넘어갈까요? Okay. Now let's take a look into what B has to say. B is going to ask the question, oh my god, what happened? He received treatment well, right? So we have the verb received, and the object treatment, and then the adverb well. Now, whenever you're talking about any kind of a medical condition or injury and it has to be treated, now, in that case in Korean, you can say receive treatment. So that's what B is going to do as a question. He received treatment well, right? And of course, we're going to give the verb received the right ending. So when would you say right at the end of a sentence? Yes, when you are asking a question. However, when you're simply looking for confirmation for information that you think you already have. Okay, so we can do that by giving the verb or an adjective or whatever word that's ending the sentence an ending, right? Okay, so we have the object and then the adverb and then the verb. So yeah, treatment. When you're talking about medical treatment, 치료. 치료. Okay, and then, yes, let's go to the adverb well, 잘. And then, yes, the best way to say receive is to say 받다. Okay, but of course I do not want its display form. I need some kind of an ending that actually has some kind of a grammatical function or attribute, right? Because 다 does not. Okay, now in this case, of course, I have to give it the right ending, but before that, I want to give it another ending as well. I want to give the verb two endings. So, now always, whenever you are building a sentence in Korean, whenever you're practicing the language, now always take a look into whether three factors are all working in tandem. If you are missing any of them, then you're not learning the language properly. When I say properly, I mean in a way that you can actually apply it to real life situations. So what are those three factors? Grammar, of course, context, and nuance. So if you want to really make sure that I'm not missing any of these three pieces, the best way to do it is to close your eyes and imagine that you are the speaker in that given situation. Now, imagine that you are B. And I said B really cares about the horse. So imagine, what if, yes, I love this horse. So I thought that today would be just a normal day, the horse being healthy and running around happily. So I'm looking forward to seeing my friend the horse again. So I go to wherever the horse is, and then I ask A, hey, where's the horse? Just a normal day. This is how things work every single day. So, yeah, where's my friend? And A says, oh, well, today I have some bad news. Today, yeah, he's not running around. He's taking some rest because he was injured. Now, in this case, if you really imagine that you are B, now you have a nuance, right? It's not just saying the right words, it's taking into consideration the context and therefore feeling the emotions that you would feel in that situation, and those emotions are translated into something called nuance, right? When you're speaking, when you're having a conversation, when you're interacting with someone. So, I would say, if I'm B, now, if someone just comes to me and breaks the bad news, hey, your friend was injured, and I'm gonna ask this question, oh, he received treatment well, right? So, in this case, I want an answer, but I don't want a vague answer, right? I don't want a vague answer like, yeah, we got it looked at and, it seems like, it might be okay. I don't know. I don't want an answer like that. I'm super concerned right now. I want an answer, but with 100% definite certainty. So you know why I'm saying this, right? I just teased what I'm about to do. I said, hey, I want an answer with 100% definite certainty. He's my friend. Don't give me like a vague, ambiguous answer. Like, what could happen? Don't give me something like that. So give me an answer with 100% definite certainty. So I'm going to use the definite ending. So what does the definite ending look like? Well, the answer should be, I don't know. It depends. Well, actually, you should know. You could know if you get a little bit more used to it. But if I don't give you any kind of a word or a context, the answer to that question should be, I don't know. It depends. Because, yes, the definite ending is an irregular ending. In other words, a shapeshifter. So it keeps on shapeshifting according to two factors, right? Number one, is it going to be attached to a verb, adjective, or noun, and plus the tense. Right now, we're giving it to a verb, however, in past tense, right? Because we're saying he received. So a verb in past tense. So when you're using the definite ending with a verb in past tense, it looks like 엔 거예요. And it belongs to inflection route number 2. Okay, so let's go to inflection route number 2 then, and attach the 엔 거예요 ending. Okay, so we have a situation where a display form ends with the D consonant once ta is removed, right? Okay, so once again, inflection route number 2. Something's happening to me today. I need that walk. Okay, so yes, the definite ending, when the definite ending is being used with a verb in past tense, yes, inflection route number 2. So the rules are, if you have a display form that ends with the D consonant, once ta is removed, you will usually apply the 3-step formula, right? Of course, I am placing heavy emphasis on usually. Now there are, depending on perspective, 4. However, if you really want to dive deeper into the details, you have more than 4. But for now, I would say you're pretty much safe with 4. So there are 4 words in March, typically, that do not follow this conventional rule. They are exceptions in the sense that they follow their own rule. However, 받다 is not one of those exceptions. So I will apply the 3-step conventional formula. So remove 다, and then place the irregular middle section 으, and then attach the ending 엔 거예요. Okay. So, yes, the definite ending is used when the speaker, usually when the speaker is saying something, but with 100% definite certainty. So, when it comes to translating, do not try to add some kind of a word. It's not a word, it's a nuance. Okay, so the past tense is already built in the ending. Okay, so now, then someone could ask a very, very fundamental question again. Now, you said that the definite ending is used when the speaker is delivering something with 100% definite certainty in their nuance and tone. Then, doesn't that mean that automatically you cannot use it for a question? Doesn't that logically not make any sense at all? Because how can you deliver something with 100% definite certainty if you don't have that information? How can you have, yes, definite certainty for information that you don't even have? But, well, you could answer that question by saying, yes, that is true. So, when a definite ending is being used in a question, it means that, yeah, they're looking for information to be delivered to them, however, with 100% definite certainty. Now, once again, imagine that you are B. You love this horse. So, someone saying, hey, your friend, your horse was injured. Now, this is bad news to me. So I'm super concerned. And in that type of a super concerning situation, if I'm gonna say, hey, he's doing okay, right? He received treatment well, right? I don't want a vague answer like, I think so. No, I want a yes. Don't worry, he's okay. So I want that information to be delivered to me, but with 100% definite certainty. Do not give me like a I think so. Okay. So if I love this horse to death, I don't want a I think so as an answer. If you tell me, yes, I'm sure. They said the medical team said that, yes, if he just gets some rest, he's going to be okay. And they said it with 100, well, not 100%, because usually medical teams can't do that. But anyway, usually, yes, with definite certainty. Now I can start breathing again. Okay, so 받은 거예요? Now I can breathe. Thank you. Okay, but now we have to give it the right ending, right? I didn't just say he received treatment well. That was not the question. The question was he received treatment well, right? So let's give it the right ending. So, yes, when you have the cause syllable in the first ending that you used, that's where you stop. If you want to use another ending. So this is where you see the sign that says, hey, you've done enough to indicate the first ending. So if you want to use a second ending, this is where, yes, you transfer to the next ending. So yeah, that is what I will do. So this is where I will tell myself, I already did enough to indicate the definite ending. So now let's move on to the right ending. And the right ending is a no route ending, right? So it means that I can just immediately attach it to whatever I am attaching it to, as long as there is no 다 there. Okay, so exactly. I'm just going to now immediately attach it. So I gave the verb receive two endings. The first one I gave it the definite ending according to the rules of inflection route number 2, and then I gave it the right ending according to, well, no route at all. It's a no route ending. So he received well. I want an answer with 100% certainty. And yes, I'm also going to ask you, right? Yeah. So I'm urging you to give me this answer. I'm doing it twice. I'm urging you twice by using the definite ending and the right ending. Because I believe that, yes, we are all human beings. We must have all had similar experiences where, yes, I'm terrified because of some bad news regarding a loved one. So in that type of a situation, yeah, you lose patience. You want an answer right now. So, yeah, that's why B is being quite impatient. Hey, I want an answer with 100% definite certainty, and I want it right now. So, he's okay, right? Please give me the answer right now. I can't breathe right now. Okay, so all together, 치료 잘 받은 거죠? 치료 잘 받은 거죠? 치료 잘 받은 거죠? Okay, does that make sense? If it does, 넘어갈까요? Okay. So, yes, this is why I always emphasize close your eyes and imagine that you are the person. That's a way to make it easier to not miss any of the three pieces. What are the three pieces? Grammar, context, and nuance. They all have to work in tandem. Because, yes, we use language to express ourselves. And a lot of times when we express ourselves, there's some kind of a nuance there. So where does nuance come from? The emotions that you're feeling in that situation. Well then, of course, you have to be in that situation then. So always close your eyes. Then you will tell yourself, I think this is a good enough reason for me to use the definite ending and the 조 ending because I feel these emotions. Okay, so it's not just about do I know receive? Do I know treatment? Do I know well? It's not about just translating the verbs and adjectives. Okay, so yes, always make sure that all three factors are all working in tandem: grammar, context, and nuance. Okay, so now let's move back to A. So, okay, I'm forgetting the lines again. A is going to say, so B just demanded an answer, but with 100% definite certainty. So A is going to give that to B. A is not going to say something ambiguous like, maybe, I think so. So A is going to say, yes, he is okay, don't worry. They said, in other words, of course they, the medical team, in other words, I heard. So today we're going to use, it's been a while, right? It's been a while, but we're going to use reported speech when I am relaying information to someone that a third person told me. So, in other words, when you're saying, someone told me, someone said to me, or I heard. So, yes, once again, we're going to use reported speech. If I am going to convey something to you, information, however, that information was conveyed to me by a third person. So we're going to use reported speech. So I'm going to say, hey, someone told me that, or hey, I heard from someone that. Okay, so now reported speech is also a shapeshifter, and we're going to take a look into a glimpse into how we will use it. They said, or I heard that it is okay, of course, the situation, it is okay if he rests enough. So don't worry. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm giving you the answer with 100% definite certainty. It is okay. Okay, so of course, if is a reverse bridge. So let's start with the blue sentence. Of course, we're talking about he and no I rest, he rests. So the S will not stay. So we have the verb and we have the adverb enough. And then, once again, the bridge cannot be a standalone, an independent component. It will become a part of the verb rest. Okay, so enough. 충분히. When you're using enough as an adverb, 충분히. 충분히. Okay. Enough. And then, yes, we know the display form of the verb rest, right? 쉬다. But of course, I don't want its display form. I want the if ending that belongs to inflection route number 2. And inflection route number 2 screams free pass. So let's say 감사합니다. Okay. Thank you for the free pass. So 쉬다. Okay, yeah. Why is it a free pass? Because in inflection route number 2, the rules are if the display form that you're using ends with a vowel, any kind of a vowel, you get to just remove ta and then immediately attach it. How convenient is that? Okay, 쉬면. So now we have if rest. 쉬면, 쉬면. Okay, exactly. So now let's place it in the 문장. So now we're finishing the blue 문장, and then we're crossing the 다리, and then we're going to the pink 문장. 충분히 쉬면. And then, yes, no it, no is, and we have the predicative adjective okay. And of course, the display form of okay, 괜찮다. Okay, so now today we're not going to talk about all the details. We're just going to take a glimpse into how you would use reported speech, because reported speech is a shapeshifter. And also it's not just a shapeshifter. Now there are a lot of factors that go into reported speech. So it looks different depending on that. It looks different depending on this. There are a whole bunch of factors. So now, how are you going to indicate that? What I'm saying is reported speech. In other words, say, they said that, or I heard that. Someone told me that, or I heard that. So, you're going to give it an ending. Now, because it's a shapeshifter, let's take a look into what it should look like in this case. Now we're going to go to adjective present tense, right? Because I said it is okay. I heard that, it is okay. They said that, it is okay. So if it's going to an adjective in present tense, then it should look like 돼요, no route ending, or 다면서요. 다면서요. Also no route ending. Okay, so it's either one of these two. So which one should I use? The factor that decides, the arbiter that decides, whether you should use 돼요 or 다면서요 as reported speech when you are giving it to an adjective in present tense is whether the listener already knows that information or not. I'm sorry, the listener already knows that information or not. So I'll show you an example. So, I have a friend. Okay, but this 친구 has a fever. He's sick. Okay, now I did not know that my 친구 is sick. I didn't know. This is me. So 친구 아파요. My friend is sick. This is me, 저. I did not know that. So someone else comes to me and says, hey, did you check on your friend? And I say, check on what? What about him? And this person tells me, oh, well, I heard that he's sick. Okay, so I'm going to call him and say, hey, are you sick? I heard that you're sick. In this case, I'm using reported speech, and that reported speech is carrying information that the listener already knows. Of course, he knows that he's sick. So in that case, the reported speech should be 다면서요. Okay, so once again, yes, I'm relaying information that I was told by a third person. However, yes, when I am actually delivering it to the listener, it is information that the listener already knows. So it should be, hey, I heard that you're sick. 아프다면서요. 아프다면서요. So reported speech when it's information that the listener already knows. But let's just change the direction of the arrows. Now, what if this person asks, hey, where's your friend? Didn't you say that you will come with your friend? And I'm gonna say, oh, well, he called me this morning and told me that he's sick, so he can't come today. So in this case, it's also reported speech. But in this case, the listener, it's information that the listener did not know. When I say, well, I heard that he's sick, he can't come. He told me that he's sick. Now the listener did not know. That's why the listener asked, hey, where's your friend? If the listener knew, then he wouldn't have asked that question in the first place. So in that case, if I'm going to tell this person, I heard that he's sick, it's going to be 아프대요. So that's what I mean by both reported speech, adjective present tense, but the listener knows, the listener does not know. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now you don't have to memorize everything right now. We will be using reported speech. Yes, in a lot of examples from now on. Okay, so in this case, which one should we use? Should I use 다면서요? So the context is, B asked, hey, he received treatment well, right? He's recovering well, right? And A says, oh yeah, I was told. They said, I heard, so reported speech, that it is okay. So, which one should I use? 돼요 or 다면서요? 돼요? Yeah, 돼요 when the listener does not know. 다면서요 when it's information that the listener already knows. Exactly, yes. Exactly. It's information. The reported speech is relaying information that the listener B does not know. Because if B knew the answer, then why did B even ask the question in the first place? So of course it's information that B does not know. So 돼요. So because it's a no route ending, just remove 다 and then yes, attach 돼요. So now we have 괜찮대요. I'll just say, heard that, or I was told that. Okay, it's okay. So now we have the full 문장. So I will read it 천천히, exactly. 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요. 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요. 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요. Okay, so they said, or I was told, I heard that it is okay if he rests enough. Okay, so always keep in mind, if you're using reported speech, yes, you do have to take into consideration the two factors, of course. Is it going to be a verb, adjective, or noun? Also the tense, of course, but also an extra factor. Is it information that the listener already knows, or is it information that the listener already knows, or is it not? Okay. So, now if you use the wrong version, it could lead to a lot of misunderstandings, right? If you use, let's say, the version that indicates that I am relaying information that you should already know, well, let's say, but it's not information that I already know, then the listener could be quite confused and say, did you tell me this before? Or is this something that I should know? So it could lead to a lot of misunderstandings. Okay, so now let's take a look into the full 대화 and take a look into what it looks like if there is no pause in between. So, 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. 치료 잘 받은 거죠? 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요. So, with more 속도, 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. 치료 잘 받은 거죠? 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요. with extra 속도. 다리 다쳐서 쉬고 있어요. 치료 잘 받은 거죠? 충분히 쉬면 괜찮대요.